Please be seated. Dean Stone, honored guests, fellow veterinarians, student veterinarians, ladies and gentlemen. If we have not met, my name is Peter Conlon, and I have the privilege of being the Associate Dean of Students at the Ontario Veterinary College. I'm very pleased to welcome all of you to this ceremony where we recognize the point at which this new class enters the veterinary profession as our student veterinarian colleagues. The journey that they began at OVC just 20 days ago will reach a major milestone one afternoon in the week of June 13th, 2016. So you may want to now take out your calendars and just block that whole week off. We can't tell you exactly which afternoon as yet, but if everybody, they and us, have done their job properly, they will each receive the degree of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and recite the veterinarian's oath. And of course, you're all invited back for that big celebration as well. The platform party, I'm sure, is going to speak of the future, but I'd like to talk to you a bit about a past OVC class. OVC 2016 came to us on September 3rd as the 150th class to join the college. And they are our newest students, of course, but perhaps we can look back for a moment and see who were our first students. They were, as you might imagine, three men, all from Ontario. Robert Robinson of Tullamore, which is northwest of Toronto and on Airport Road now. William Elliott of the nearby hamlet of Sandhill. And George Kempschel of Vaughan, which was then a very small town also north of Toronto, where it is still today. These three were OVC's first students, and in 1866, our first graduates. Although unfortunately not much is known about them as individuals, we do know that having satisfied the eligibility requirements of having attended 3 sessions at the veterinary school in Toronto on Temperance Street, which had been founded in 1862 by Andrew Smith, who was a graduate of the Royal Veterinary College in Edinburgh, and hence the appropriateness of the pipes today. And those 3 men, having seen practice with a qualified veterinarian in Ontario, all of whom had graduated from British veterinary colleges at that time, they presented themselves at OVC in Toronto for their final oral examinations on Tuesday, March the 26th, 1866, and all 3 were successful. Although they're little more than names to us now, surely Robert's and Williams and George's emotions after passing those examinations and receiving their diplomas on May 1st of 1866 can have been little different from those that this class has already experienced, even this early in their veterinary careers. The excitement, the sense of accomplishment, and the pride in themselves. As well, can we not imagine that the almost palpable joy and pride that you, their families, and friends are feeling today must surely have been present in 3 Ontario households that May 1st, 146 years ago, or at least as soon as the Telegraph could convey the news from Toronto that I passed, stop. On a historical note, for those who've never seen one, the Telegraph was the Twitter of the 19th and 20th centuries. Brevity was everything. As there will be for you, OVC 2016, for those first OVC graduates, there must have been moments of self-doubt, of knowing that although one always tries to do one's best, being only human, sometimes it's just not enough. But rest assured that any moments of uncertainty or doubt will be pushed aside by many much happier events, as when Robert Robinson, a few months after his graduation, proudly wrote to a friend in one of the few surviving letters we have of his to tell him that he had succeeded in saving a horse's life by performing a tracheostomy, which was certainly no small feat, especially in those days. You, the 115 members of OVC 2016, have now joined an unbroken chain of more than 10,000 men and women who have been student veterinarians at OVC. And you, family members, friends, and veterinary mentors, are joining the hundreds of thousands of people who have helped each of them towards their goal. And I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you in the hall, those of you who are watching us by webcast, and many others who would want to be here today, all of you who are now honorary members of the extended OVC family, for all that you've done so far and all that I know you will continue to do for the folks in this class. and I promise you we'll take very good care of them while they're here with us. Now, to bring greetings to you and to welcome this class to our profession are the Dean of the Ontario Veterinary College, representatives of the organized profession, and a very special guest, and I would say actually 3 very special guests. Those 2. Oh, I think you're there too. Dr. Elizabeth Stone is the 10th Dean of OVC. She is a graduate of the Veterinary School at the University of California, Davis, and she was previously to coming to OVC the chair of the Department of Clinical Studies at North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina. Dr. Stone's a surgeon, and among her many and significant accomplishments and interests, she has been president of the American College of Veterinary Surgeons and is a co-founder of the Veterinary Literature Society. Through her words and deeds, Dr. Stone demonstrates that student veterinarians are certainly at the top of her agenda. Dr. Stone.
Thank you, Peter, and welcome to all of you to our latest class, and to all of your family and friends and mentors. I know that many of you are here because of your family. Although there may be some in the audience who are here in spite of their family, and your family still hasn't understood why you want to take care of pets or cows or wild animals rather than people, or why you didn't want to become an engineer or whatever the list is. But I'm sure over the next few years you'll show them why this is such a magnificent profession. And I've been at it for quite a number of years. I won't even reveal how long that's been the case. But the veterinarians that I know, and I meet a lot of veterinarians who are in their 80s and 90s, they are so proud and so glad that they chose this profession. And what you start out with and what you plan on doing today may not be what you end up doing. I must say, when I sat in your seats, the thought that I would be a veterinary dean in Ontario, Canada, was not even on the list of possibilities. So you just never know. In this class, there's about half of you that want to go into rural animal practice, into mixed animal practice. And some of you may end up doing that. Some of you may change your minds and go elsewhere. But what we encourage you to do is to look at everything that you're learning, all the possibilities, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. The field is just so wide and so broad. And there are people who are veterinarians who are doing all kinds of things in international organizations and national and provincial, many different possibilities. And as Peter said, we are very fortunate, those of us that are sitting here, to be involved with the college at its 150th year. There aren't many people that have that opportunity. Although I'll have to tell you that in a couple of weeks I'm going to the University of Glasgow Veterinary School. They're celebrating their 150th. And in Scotland, 150 years is not that big of a deal because I think the university is maybe 400 years old. Both the founder of the University of Glasgow Veterinary School and our founder graduated from the University of Edinburgh, which is probably 700-800 years old or more. So 150 years is not that big of a deal, but of course it is to us. This school was started before Canada became a country. So that's a very, very long time. And someone put in my notes, it's also older than the Stanley Cup, which maybe that's even more significant than when the country was founded. We have graduated more than 10,000 students. A number of different veterinarians over the years have had tremendous impact on both the veterinary professions in Canada and in the United States. At one point, around 1910, half of the veterinarians in the U.S. and Canada were graduates of the Ontario Veterinary College, people that helped establish the Veterinary Practice Act. When the school was first started, almost anyone could call themselves a veterinarian. If they had been a farrier and they had been shoeing horses and they did treatments, they could be a veterinarian. But over the years, of course, it's become quite a proud profession. And we're so pleased that George is here and his 2 dogs, and you'll hear certainly more about them. But I thought in honor of George and his therapy dogs, I would read the very first poem that's in the book that I'm sure all of you have read, because this next week we're going to get together and discuss it. And the very first poem in the book is called Golden Retrievals. And this is in honor of George's dogs. Golden Retrievals. Fetch. Balls and sticks capture my attention seconds at a time. Catch? I don't think so. Bunny, tumbling leaf, a squirrel who's, oh joy, actually scared. Sniff the wind, then I'm off again. Muck, pond, ditch, residue of any thrillingly dead thing. And you? Either you're sunk in the past, half-hour walk, thinking of what you never can bring back, or else you're off in some fog concerning tomorrow? Is that what you call it? My work, to unsnare time's warp and woof, retrieving my haze-headed friend, you. This shining bark, a Zen master's bronzy gong, calls you here, entirely, now. Bow wow, bow wow, bow wow. And I think if there's anything that captures what we're all about and what's the role of animals, all kinds of animals in our lives and in society, I think that does it. It calls us back to who we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Veterinarians are good at lots of things. Sometimes sound systems is not maybe one of them, but we always have a spare, so we're always prepared. There we go. Dr. Jim Fairless is president of the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association, a national body that speaks for veterinarians and our interests in the country. Dr. Fairless is a 1980 OVC graduate and therefore my classmate in, although others here might dispute it, I would say, and I think you'd agree, Jim, the best OVC class of at least the last century anyway. Boy, I feel old when I say that, I must say. Jim, who was a mixed animal practitioner and has spent time working in international veterinary medicine, is currently the client services veterinarian for the provincial Animal Health Laboratory located in OVC. Dr. Fairless.
Dean Stone, Dr. Conlon, Peter, distinguished guests, friends, family, faculty and staff of OVC, and especially you, the student veterinarians of the class of 2016. And I emailed Elizabeth Louringer yesterday and asked what your name was. It's the Cobalt Caracals. Sounds very interesting. It's with great pleasure that I bring greetings from the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association to you, the class of 2016. Now, as Dr. Conlon mentioned, I graduated in 1980. And there was one thing then that wasn't around that you have certainly access to now. There were no such things as computers, nor cell phones. That really makes me feel old. My first purchase on graduation was a computer, once I got a little bit of money, much to my wife's dismay. You are entering a profession with so much information to absorb, but at the same time, so many digital tools to sort that out and prioritize. You'll hear much about the CVMA in the years ahead. It's the veterinary organization that represents veterinarians nationally from coast to coast. With approximately a total of 11,000 in Canada, we are one of the smaller professions. Various public polls indicate, however, that we are one of the most respected professions. I encourage you to get involved in the voluntary organizations that shape this profession. the species, the local groups, species groups, specialty clubs, the provincial organizations that you'll hear about shortly, and the national group, the CVMA, who advocate on your behalf to help make veterinary medicine the excellent career that it is. You will all become members of the students of the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association during your stay at OVC. Students have a seat and a vote at the CVMA council table. And this year, it is Emily Velicoop from OVC that is the student rep to CVMA council. Today, our priority is to greet you into this incredible profession. You have been selected because of your determination, your capacity to learn, and your love of animals. And of course, you couldn't have chosen a better institution than the Ontario Veterinary College, somewhat biased here, and its 150 years of excellence. Here you have diversity, you have new challenges, and you have an incredible faculty and staff. Now I just have to postscript that by saying I'm an adjunct faculty a member as well. So, in the coming months and years, you'll be faced with many challenges, and I know you will succeed, as we all have managed to do. And as Dean Stone has mentioned, veterinary medicine is a career with almost infinite professional possibilities. My background in mixed practice, and I tried to go with the alphabet here about what I have looked at. No aardvarks, so I couldn't start there, but African pygmy hedgehogs to zebras and everything in between. International development in the middle of Sichuan, China, wondering why I was there, and certainly gave me an insight into the rest of the world. In education, research, government, industry, and food safety, all of which I spend some time now at the lab. The list is as long as your imagination. I challenge you to be bold and explore a new field of practice that you have never been exposed to before. Be proud ambassadors of this profession as you talk to your colleagues and peers. You need to tell everybody what this profession is about and what you can do. This is the beginning. You've worked hard to get here. CVMA is there with you. Work hard, wear your lab coat with pride. But one note here, take time to relax as well. Wellness is a very important part of your education, and we had a summit of veterinary leaders at the CVMA convention this year that dealt with member wellness. Take time to relax, and success will be yours. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Jim. The Ontario Veterinary Medical Association is the organization that represents veterinarians and our interests in this province. Dr. Ted Kilpatrick, who is a graduate of OVC in 1979, was owner of the Bowmanville Veterinary Clinic until July of 2009, when he sold part of his practice so he can now live on beautiful Manitoulin Island and work occasionally as a locum. I think that's the part about relaxing and enjoying your profession that Dr. Farrell has just mentioned. In 1996, Dr. Kilpatrick joined the OVMA Board of Directors, and since then he has held a number of different positions with that organization, including being president in 2011. Dr. Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Peter. Just before I start, I would like to point out that Peter was close in saying that 1980 was the best year, but in fact he was wrong. It was actually 1979, but 80 was a close second. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by extending my congratulations to you, the class of 2016. It's a bit sobering to think of 2016, because when I go back to when I started, that means that probably none of you were born. Whoa. Anyway, it's an honor for me to stand before you today and welcome you to this wonderful profession. I'm sure that many of you here today had a dream of a career in veterinary medicine for as long as you can remember. Your entrance into the DVM program here at the Ontario Veterinary College is a significant milestone in your academic journey. I'm sure it has been a long road to get here, and one that no doubt had its challenges, and you all deserve recognition for the hard work and dedication that has earned you a spot in one of the top, if not the very best school of veterinary medicine in the world. You've already started your lectures and labs, and probably haven't had any exams yet, but they will be coming. But some of you may already be eager to finish your schooling and beyond, get on into your veterinary career. 4 years may seem like an eternity, but I can tell you from personal experience that it goes by in a heartbeat, and it'll be over before you know it. I'll share a personal story with you. My career was almost over before it began. I was in pre-vet semester. I still had Aggie exams. I had 5 Aggie exams, all worth over 50%. I had an embryology exam, and I had a histology exam. And things were going pretty well until I hit histology, and by that time, my brain was saturated. It wasn't taking anything else in. It was refusing. So the first part of that exam was a musical microscope, and probably some of you had those, but I looked down the first microscope and went, I don't know whether that's a basophil, it's a lymphocyte. And then the bell rang and I had to go to the second microscope, and I'm still working on the first one. The whole exam sort of went like that, and I sort of came out and went, yeah, that was a short career. Anyway, obviously I did okay because I'm here and I did graduate, and I've had 33 wonderful years in the veterinary profession. My advice to you today is simple, and that is enjoy your time here at OVC. It's a time to form friendships, learn a lot of information, and have a good time. I mean, we in OVC 79 were renowned for some pretty famous parties. We had pig roasts. We had a very active class in intramural sports. We were about a 50-50 ratio of men to women. We had 4 hockey teams in men's, and we had a women's hockey team as well. So get out there and enjoy. There's going to be lots of hard work ahead of you, but the memories that you have here of the 4 years will be ones that you cherish for the rest of your life. Of course, there are many learning opportunities available to you outside OVC as well. And one of these opportunities is to become involved in the OVMA. As someone who's been an active member of the OVMA for the past 16 years, I would encourage you all to get involved in your professional lives, whether, as Jim said, in a local chapter of your regional veterinary group, or whether it be on a provincial level. But get involved. It's very rewarding, and it pays back what you give in. If you excel in a leadership role, consider becoming a student representative on the OVMA Board of Directors. If you enjoy writing, consider writing an article for the student column in OVMA Focus, the member magazine. Or if you're good at fundraising, get involved and raise some funds for the Farley Foundation, OVMA's charitable foundation, which helps treat pets in need with owners who have financial constraints. There's no time like the present to get involved in your Provincial Veterinary Association, and we look forward to helping you achieve your personal and professional goals in the coming years. This morning, OVMA is very pleased to present each of you with a personalized stethoscope as a symbol of your entry into the veterinary profession. We hope that this stethoscope will become an essential tool in the learning process over the next 4 years, and that once you graduate, when you look at your OVMA stethoscope, it will remind you that OVMA is your source and your voice, and is here to assist you to make the most of your veterinary career. Take a look around at your classmates. Give yourselves a round of applause for this significant achievement. You deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ted. The College of Veterinarians of Ontario is the provincial licensing body for veterinarians that also protects the public's interest. Ms. Jan Robinson, who is the Registrar of the CVO, served previously as the Registrar of the College of Occupational Therapists of Ontario, then the College of Physiotherapists of Ontario, before taking on her current role. She's achieved national and international recognition for her contributions in the regulatory health policy community. Ms. Robinson.
Good morning. Dean Stone, Dr. Conlon, honored guests, and most importantly, of course, members of the OVC class of 2016. I am really pleased to be here this morning to bring greetings from the College of Veterinarians of Ontario, in particular its council and its president, Dr. Ken Bridge, and to welcome you, each of you, to the veterinary profession. What perhaps began for you as simply a love for animals, perhaps it was an aptitude for sciences, has brought you to this place where you now have a seat in the classrooms and the labs of one of the world's finest educators of veterinary medicine. You've achieved a great deal to get here, and all of us have been speaking about that this morning, and you'll continue to have hurdles and successes before you graduate. But today is really a time to celebrate as you transition from someone who always wanted to be a veterinarian to actually becoming one. So congratulations to you. The CVO, not to be confused with the OVC, nor to be confused with the Chief Veterinary Officer of Ontario, or the terms college and college. But the CVO is the provincial regulatory body for the veterinary profession, and the college's focus is to protect and serve the public interest through regulating the practice of veterinary medicine in the province. And really all of what that jargon means is that we license veterinarians and we accredit facilities on behalf of the public. As you will find out in years to come, though, this distinct privilege of self-regulating a profession and to have authority over your own profession is fundamentally important, and it is not common worldwide. So in Ontario, members of the public can be confident that the college shares their expectations for safe, quality veterinary care. The College Council itself is comprised of veterinarians elected by veterinarians, but also members of the public who are appointed by the government. And together, the CVO Council governs the profession with the public interest in mind being forefront of all of the decisions that it makes. You might be interested to know that there are 4,300 licensed veterinarians in Ontario, and there are over 1,400 accredited veterinary facilities, hospitals, and clinics, so quite a number. Over the past year, the CVO has delivered on many, many policy initiatives, including, and I just wanted to give you a flavor of this so it'll give you a sense of what we do, updating our advertising advisory, an advisory to assist veterinarians with decisions on medically unnecessary veterinary surgery, as well as things such as updating the veterinary client-patient relationship, after-hours care, access to emergency services, quality assurance, just to name a few of those things. And so I urge you to become familiar with CVO policies in our website and encourage you to keep yourselves informed of what's happening across the veterinary profession, because that's what being a professional is about. On behalf of the College and Council, I wish you success as you embark on your studies in veterinary medicine, and I invite you to become familiar with the college and see it as a component of your professional life, and to feel free to call us and discuss issues of regulation. The college is committed to excellence in the veterinary profession, and we really look forward to your participation in that objective. Really, really enjoy your morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. The Ontario Veterinary College Alumni Association links the college with its graduates and is a very strong supporter of OVC and our student veterinarians. Dr. Brad Hanna, who's the current president of the association, is an OVC 89 grad. Following completion of his DVM degree here, he worked in mixed practice in Kapuskasing and then at a sled dog practice in the Northwest Territories. Yes, he does have lots of stories. Now, as a faculty member in biomedical sciences, Dr. Hanna teaches in all 4 phases of the DVM program and is probably also known as Mr. Hockey around OVC. Dr. Hanna.
Dean Stone, Dr. Conlon, and honored guests, it's my pleasure to be here today to welcome the newest class of students to the college. Most of what I had planned to say on this paper has already been said, and I like the fact that the speakers before me have exhibited some pride in their years. I mean, just because they didn't choose 89 as the best, and of course you'll choose 16 as the best. It's nice to see that pride. One of my uncles was an associate dean at Cornell's veterinary school, and he always sort of shook his head at the fact that the students there were very proud of their school, even though the whole time they were there they actually grumbled about all the hard work. So I encourage you, while you're here, to work hard. It is known around the world as one of the better veterinary schools in existence. In the 1970s, I was in Kenya, back when you still had to turn your back to make sure a rhino wasn't charging you. And people in remote areas were aware of OVC. So OVC has had an enormous impact on our profession. So be proud of your school. Come back after you graduate and see how you can get involved. And I guess the advice that you've had already to not only work hard and do work hard, but reserve some time for something fun. I think my first year at university, all I did was study. I wanted to get into the veterinary school. I have no recollection that year existed. And then when I got into the veterinary program, I got involved in not only in my academic studies, but in things like, apparently I'm associated with hockey in some way, and it's certainly not from skill. It's just from my experience, all the fun that I had, and I met a lot of people who are still among my closest friends. And someone else pointed out already today that your classmates will become lifelong friends, and it's true. A classmate of mine just walked in the room as I was sitting down, and it's sort of like someone from your family, seeing them again. So welcome to the college. Work hard and have fun. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Fred. As a profession, we veterinarians serve society in many roles, including being responsible, of course, for the health of animals, but also in many ways for the health of people and the health of the environment. Many of us think of our companion animals as members of our family and enjoy the unfailing love they provide to us, as well as the physical and psychological benefits of being around animals. Sometimes the special ways that animals help people and the resulting benefits go far beyond what I've just described, and our next guest is going to tell you a bit about his experiences in this area. I met Mr. George Cohan this summer at Convocation when the University of Guelph presented him with an honorary degree of Doctor of Laws for his service to society. Mr. Cohan is the founder and chairman of McDonald's of Canada and Russia, and his charitable work is well known. He's the founder of Ronald McDonald House Charities, a group that provides housing for families of children receiving medical treatment in hospitals. He demonstrates his understanding of the importance of animals to humans through his volunteer work with his trained therapy dogs at the Baycrest Institute in Toronto, and that is in conjunction with his wife Susan, who is also here with us today, and we welcome you, Susan. Mr. Cohan has a special connection to OVC. A few years ago, one of their beloved dogs was stricken with cancer, and he was referred to the college, where a series of treatments allowed his companion to have a longer and better life. And it's a great pleasure now to ask Mr. George Cohan to address us.
Now, with these dogs, they've slept through everything. Nice having to be here. I don't want to be disrespectful. It's great to get an honorary doctorate, which I got in June. This is more fun for me. You know, if you're growing up, you don't have to listen to anything else. It's just a fun thing. And it's nice to be here with my wife for 52 years. Susie, why don't you stand up? Come on. You don't get points for doing something like that. You just don't lose as many. We've got our two therapy dogs here, Tilly and Sept. They're a mother-daughter team. Tilly, the one that is very relaxed, laying down and is Simi is 6 years old. Simi goes to the person that needs the most help and look at her over the knee. And Sue and I have had dogs for a good part of our life, but really never had time to have therapy dogs. So now, work as hard as we did years ago, and we ended up with these 2 dogs. We got Tilly first. And Tilly, between the 2 of them, they've had 58 puppies. Okay? Tilly was with us in Florida, and we came across something called the Delta Society. It's now called Pet Partners. And we said, well, what's the Delta Society? Well, you train your dog to be a therapy dog. Well, we have to be trained too? Well, you sort of have to be trained, yeah. So we get all sorts of books, and we fill out all sorts of forms, and answer all sorts of questions. Then you take the dog for the test. And I guess they test the owner of the dog and the dog. And the nature of the test is pretty interesting. You go into a grade 1 classroom where kids are 6 years old, and all of a sudden the bell goes off, and there are 50 or 60 kids that come around the dog and start patting it, pointing their ears, and doing all kinds of stuff with their tail. And what did Tilly do? What she's doing right now. Okay? Next is you take them out into a center hallway that got wheelchairs. And there are 6 or 7 wheelchairs that surround her. Now she's in the middle of this situation. What does she do? What she's doing now. They get a stack of books, and they take the books and they drop the books behind her. I mean, Sue and I jumped. What was she doing? What she's doing now. Okay, so then we had an opportunity to train her daughter, Sept, who was also trained. Now we start taking them. Baycrest is one of the facilities here. And I'll tell you a couple of stories. I can tell you hundreds of stories, but I'll tell you 2 that I think are interesting stories. One day at Baycrest would tell me on a floor, it's called a palliative care floor. Palliative care is where people are very, very sick, usually dying. And you go room to room, and the dog's interaction with the sick people. I don't know the bond between the dog and the human. There's something. David Suzuki was at our house about 10 days ago. He's a famous Canadian, and he gave me some word I should have written down, which talks about what the bond is. But there's some bond. These dogs walk into a room, someone's laying in bed, very, very sick, and they walk right up to the bed, and they put their head next to the hand, and they get petted, and the person enjoys it. But I get to one room, and the door is closed. And I say, I knock on the door, and I say, I'm here with Tilly, my therapy dog, will you come in? And a woman says, I'm not pressed to see you, send in Tilly. This one's pretty spunky. I take Tilly off the lead, and I send in Tilly, and 10 minutes later, the woman says, Tilly's my new roommate, you can go home. I said, well, good God, I'm not going to go home. My wife won't let me in the house, and I said, come back with Tilly. She said, learn to live in the streets, it might be good for you. Well, this is a relationship between a woman who was in her 50s, from Holland, a school teacher actually, who had a form of cancer she couldn't beat. And for the last month of her life, the bond between Tilly and this woman was incredible. I mean incredible. The woman would, till the end of her life, say, does Tilly know how to get to my room when she comes to the hospital? So now you've got a hospital that has maybe 600 rooms, and the answer is, of course, she can't. Well, when she gets off the elevator on the 7th floor, does she know to come to my room? I don't know the answer to that question, and I said, she does know how to come to you. The doctor said, George, bring Tilly as often as you can, because I can't do anything more for this woman other than give her morphine for pain and suffering. Tilly's bringing her happiness. So that's a story about the therapy dog can do. Another story is the Ronald McDonald House in Toronto. There's a new house that just opened up. It's got 96 bedrooms, which for me is sort of bittersweet because it shows how many children are sick. And what do kids need when they're sick? They need their family around them, so the family stays in the bedroom. And there's a little girl at that house who is 2.5, 3 years old, from St. Vincent. She has a brain tumor and leukemia. She gets chemo every day. Her parents, she's there with her grandmother, her mother, and her sister. and she's got a permanent shunt in her, and every day they give her a treatment of chemotherapy. She's lost her hair. She's 3 years old. She's whipped after the chemo, but when we go with Telly and Sydney, she says to her mother, I'm going downstairs, I'm going to walk these 2 dogs. And here's a little 2.5-year-old kid that has that feeling for the animals. So it's an incredible feeling of what can be done with animals. And you know, I don't know what advice to give you. I mean, anything I was going to say has been talked about by the other speakers. But I guess the story I can tell is one Saturday we had to take the dogs to our vet in Toronto. And there was a young woman who was working there. And I said, when did you graduate? It's my first year out. Where did you go? Well, I went to golf. Where else did you go? It's one of the best schools in the world. You should all feel very proud that you're in. You're in now. Okay, you made it. You're here. So congratulations. I said, when you were a student, in your first day, your first week, your first couple of weeks, what was it like? I was scared to death. I was scared. It took me time to settle down in a new environment. So what advice would you say I should give to the students? Tell them they have fun. Tell them they have fun. Tell them to ease up with it, lighten up with it, and have some fun. You know, tell them that the relationships and friendships that they make with their fellow students are going to last their whole lifetime. And when you go through a tough day, you will go through a tough day. It's either with a patient that you're treating, with the owner that you're dealing with, and at the end of the day, you're depressed, and it's not the kind of day you thought it would be being a vet. Your fellow classmates are going through the same sort of thing themselves. So you get through this stuff together. So be sure you continually have fun. And the other thing is, don't have a preconceived notion of what you're going to do. You may come here thinking, I'm only going to treat dogs. I'm only going to treat big animals. Horses is my kid, cows, whatever it is, birds. You know, if you want to, I guess, be a doctor that just treats one species, it's called an MD. Your graduate is vets. And there's no preconceived notion. The vet that is, they have 5 or 6 vets in their office, I guess. And one of the senior vets who also went here and graduated, he said his year is the best year. But you know that the best year is 2016. That's a done deal, right? He said he wanted to only do large animals. And he said all of a sudden he had a rude awakening one day when he was taking his hand and doing something with a cow to see if the cow was pregnant. And the next day he was doing something with a chihuahua, with a hand on a chihuahua. So don't have a preconceived notion of what you're going to end up doing. You know, the world goes by and you change your mind. And you go through and you change your mind. You get in the trenches. I don't know what you can do with students to get out and volunteer in clinics, or I don't know if that's available to students like you, but it is doing. Get out and touch and feel the animals and get out and do things. And as you go through life, help those that are less fortunate than you. Make the time to get involved in worthwhile charities. Pick your spot. Pick your spot and make a difference in the world. That's really, really important. And most of all, have fun with it. Lighten up and have a ball. You should be very proud of what you're going to do. And before you know it, the 4 years will be over. You'll be out practicing somewhere, and you say, my God, I wish I was back on Monday taking tests here. So if you want really good luck when this is over, come up and tell him Cindy. That'll be your good luck charm. Okay? And I wish you well and honored to be here. Doing my favorite.
Thank you, Georgia, and I think you touched everybody in the room with your remarks, so thank you. That the extra bonus this year for you is not only to receive congratulations from veterinary colleagues, but to pet the lucky dogs. And this will ensure your future success, absolutely. I was having lots of petting and hugging with him earlier, so I think I'm set for life now. Good. So please come up to the front, receive congratulations, proceed down the aisle on my right. out into the lobby and where a transformation will occur, and then you'll come in on the other side and regain any seat probably as long as it's near where you were. So we are going to begin with Sarah Hola. And Sarah is from Brampton, Ontario. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about where each of our students comes from, thanks to Google Maps and Wikipedia. This ceremony was a lot duller before those things existed, believe me. Sarah, congratulations. We've talked about leadership with you folks already a lot. It is really hard to be the person whose name is first in the alphabet. Catherine Alsford, my apologies, from Buffalo, New York. And I think we know where Buffalo is. Certainly in the winter, poor Buffalo, we hear about your blizzards all the time. And where George and Susan got married, he tells me. So another great mark for Buffalo. Delia Anderson is from Toronto, Ontario. Alicia Armborst is from Waterloo, which is just west of Guelph. Jasmine Aurora is from Woodbridge, Ontario, which is northwest of Toronto. Megan Ballantyne is from West Carleton Township, which is just west of Ottawa. And Elizabeth Begley is from Ottawa. Stephanie Billito is from Ancaster, Ontario, which is near Hamilton. Nicole Bonaventura is from Richmond Hill, which is north of Toronto. Now it's a piece of cake, right? Yeah, anybody can do this. Sarah Boyer is from Holland Landing, Ontario. Holland Landing is about an hour north of Toronto. Elizabeth Brown O'Krulik is from London. And Karen Carlton is from Scarborough, which is just east of Toronto. Emma Chappell from Aurora, just north of Toronto. And Amanda Sharon is from Windsor. Mike Schuster is from Toronto. Carmen Chu is from Whitby. Also east of Toronto. Robert Clark is from Thunder Bay. So if you had a car and 18 hours to spare and went directly northwest, you would be in Thunder Bay. Lindsay Clark is from Nassau in the Bahamas. Nassau is on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. Lisa Cohen is from Toronto. The double petting for extra good luck, the dean says. Sarah Copeland is from Aurora, Ontario. Madeline Cosentino is from Toronto. Jeff Kulf is from Oakville, which is on the shore of Lake Ontario. Greg Dimmers from Ingersoll, Ontario. Did you know Ingersoll is the home of the first cheese factory in Canada? 1840. So a few things are older than OVC, but not many. Nikki Dobbin is from Drayton, Ontario. And Drayton's the home of the renowned festival and festival theater. Christine Dross is from Ballston Lake, New York. And if you were looking for Ballston Lake, you'd go to Albany first and look in that area. Albany's the state capital. Sarah Edwards is from Windsor, Ontario. Jason Fleming from Peterborough. And if you went 2.5 hours east, you'd hit Peterborough on the, I hope this is right, Watanabe River. Katie Gallagher is from Hamilton, Ontario. Which, if you're from far away, is straight south of Guelph. Jamie Gardner is from Ottawa. And Jolene Giacenti is from Hamilton. Kelly Guest is from Mississauga, Ontario. In the western part of the Greater Toronto area. Catherine Ha is from London, Ontario. Megan Haynes is from Cambridge, just west of here. Brittany Hale is from Stainer. Which is on beautiful Georgian Bay. Kristen Hale from Markham. Just northeast of Toronto. Kay Harrison from Tecumseh, Ontario. Is on Lake St. Clair near Windsor. And Amy Hill is from Whitby. Jessica Hinch from London. Tyler Hodgson is from Bolton. Which is northwest of Toronto in the Caledon Hills. Nicole Hogle from Ennismore, Ontario. And if anyone is wondering, Ennismore, it's in the heart of cottage country in eastern Ontario. So, beautiful part of the province. Rachel Hughes is from Gaithersburg, Maryland. If you were looking for the headquarters of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, you would go to Gaithersburg, Maryland to find it. If you're playing Trivial Pursuit, you want me on your team. I was on Reach for the Top when I was a little kid. Does that, for some in the audience, Reach for the Top will mean something. So, not a little kid, a high school kid. So I collect trivia, I guess. Joanne Jennings is from Max Meadows, Virginia. Max Meadows is near Blacksburg, Virginia, in a very beautiful part of the state. Dan Katz is from Binbrook. Which is near Hamilton. Jacqueline Kaufman is from Hickson. Which is between Tavistock and Woodstock. Adam Kleinberg from Richmond Hill, Ontario. No, they're... It's hard not to pet them, though. That's the problem. Christopher Knight is from Cornwall, Ontario. Cornwall's in eastern Ontario near the Quebec border. As someone from Montreal, it was always my mark that I was getting close to home when I hit Cornwall after a 7-hour drive. Caitlin Kuzmanich is from Carlisle, Ontario. Carlisle's just down Highway 6 towards Hamilton. I think, George, this class has got 2 honorary mascots. You know that? And it's a good thing. Leslie Kumagi from Scarborough, Kumagai, my apologies, Leslie, from Scarborough, Ontario. You will meet Leslie a little later in the program when I introduce her again, and will pronounce her name correctly at that time. Michael Kwan is from Toronto, Ontario. Michelle Lamb is from Markham. Sean Lang from Toronto. Philippe Lévy from Timmins. Timmins' motto is the great outdoors and more. That's a pretty beautiful area. Lingxi Li is from Ottawa. Clinton Lichty from Aris. And Aris is just north of Guelph. Lakwa Stephanie Low is from Hong Kong. You know where Hong Kong is. Denise Lukács from Hillsburg, Ontario. Hillsburg's about half an hour northeast of Guelph. Tricia Mackey is from Ottawa. Kara McGee is from Port Carling. In the Muskoka Lakes near Bracebridge. Gillian Marson from Thornhill, Ontario. Just north of Toronto. Just thinking, I don't say just south of Toronto very much, but of course, just south of Toronto is the lake, so not likely going to happen. Sabrina Martins is from Cambridge, Ontario. Kyla Meyerhofer is from Owen Sound. On beautiful Georgian Bay. Oop. Anna Meredith from Barrie, Ontario. Which is on Lake Simcoe. And Ed Metzger is from Linwood. Linwood's about an hour west of Guelph. Shauna Morrison is from Waterloo, Ontario. Riley Nichols from Brampton. Those aren't bald spots I see appearing on Tilly, is it? No. Never. Catherine Nickel from Brampton. Siobhan O'Sullivan from Toronto. Melissa Pambianchi from Toronto. And Amy Panning is from Toronto. Kimberly Patterson is from Lancaster, New York. Lancaster is just east of Buffalo. Sarah Peckman is from Nobleton, Ontario. And Nobleton's near Schaumburg. Megan Perron from Navan, Ontario. Navan's within the city limits of Ottawa. Rebecca Phillips is from London. Christopher Pinard is from Burlington. Which is right by Hamilton. Rachel Poppy is from Moncton. It's actually not that Moncton. It's Moncton, Ontario, which is in Perth County, just west of Guelph. Spelt with a K, if you want to distinguish them. Aaron Poor is from Pickering, Ontario. East of Toronto as well. And Ursilia Poru is from Toronto. Cami Puniamurthy is from Toronto as well. Vedrena Rakocevic is also from Toronto. Maggie Rocks from Burlington, Ontario. Elad Rosenfeld from Nataf, Israel. And Elad's hometown is 12 miles west of Jerusalem, or maybe Jerusalem is 12 miles east of Nataf. Amanda Salazar is from Mississauga, Ontario. And Emerald Saldana is from Mississauga, Ontario. Fernando Salgado Bierman is from Toronto. Saul Sath is from Mifflintown, Pennsylvania. If you're ever asked, Mifflintown is the county seat of Juniata County. Nicole Scodris from Kitchener, Ontario. Brittany Shaw from Peterborough. Kayla Shaw is from Aurora, Ontario. If anyone in the class is saying, oh my goodness, I didn't pet both of them, there's probably petting opportunities later, just in case you need to fill your quota. Kendra Sims is from Uxbridge, Massachusetts. Uxbridge is just southwest of Boston. Danielle Size is from Ajax. Which is just east of Toronto as well. Natasha Smith is from Bellefontaine. Bellefontaine's northeast of Guelph, and if you're not doing anything, a week from today, September 29th, you could go to the world-famous Salamander Festival in Bellefontaine, Ontario. I'm not kidding. Danielle Snow is from Thornhill. Melitza Soli is from Dryden, Ontario. Illustrating the size of Ontario, Dryden is a 24-hour drive northwest of Guelph, way beyond Thunder Bay. Jessica Squires is from Ottawa. Megan Stapleton from Shandaken, New York. Which is in the Catskill Mountains. Are they going to have more puppies, George, or not? Because I kind of think you might have a few people who want to buy one.
Ask a woman that question.
Oh. Probably not.
No, they're not.
They're not, okay. Kate Sweetman is from Bell River, Ontario. And Bell River is near Windsor on Lake St. Clair. Gretchen Seberg is from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. I lay awake all night practicing that. Out of interest, it's from the Potawatomi word for waterfall. So I presume it's a pretty scenic area of Wisconsin. Ryan Tenbergen is from Ingersoll, Ontario. Laura Tyndall from Toronto. And Megan Toner comes from Whitefish, Ontario. And Whitefish, if Google hasn't led me astray, is near Sudbury. Sophie Valiano is from Mississauga. And Sarah Walker hails from Guelph. Carol Wallach is from Oakville. Helen Waters is from Mississauga. Marissa Weaver is from Townsend, Ontario. And if you were looking for Townsend, you'd go about an hour and a half directly south of Guelph into Haldimand County, and that's where you'd find it. Stephanie Wilkinson is from Southampton, Ontario. Southampton, Bermuda. I wasn't even close. Southampton, Bermuda. So when we all go and visit Stephanie at her house, Southampton, Ontario is really nice, but I bet Southampton, Bermuda is gorgeous. Thank you for the correction. Claudia Wong is from Toronto, Ontario. Megan Worrell is from Mississauga. Sarah Wright is from Markham. Denise Yates hails from Mississauga. Danielle Eunice from Richmond Hill. Omar Zahir from Kitchener. Nicole Zaranak from Mississauga. And Sharon Zhang from Toronto. And while we're waiting for everyone to regain their seats, I'd like to acknowledge some important folks in the audience. Could I ask members of the OVC faculty to stand if they would, please? These are the folks that actually make it all happen, and we're very fortunate that amongst the experts in the world in many disciplines are on our faculty. So your students benefit from their expertise. Thank you very much, folks. And we're all back. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the class of OVC 2016. This is going to be a great 4 years. That is the most rousing round of applause I have ever heard. Class, please be seated. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Ms. Leslie Kumagai and Mr. Philippe Lévy, who are newly elected class co-presidents, to speak on behalf of the class. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. First off, Leslie's from Scarborough. In addition to her work with companion animals, zoo animals, and wildlife in preparation for the DVM program, she found time for her music, and she's the first flautist with the Toronto Youth Wind Orchestra and performed with the Canada Wind Orchestra. In 2009, she was awarded the Millennium Excellence National Laureate Scholarship for Community Involvement, Innovation, Leadership, and Academic Achievement. Philippe comes to us from Timmins and only started classes in English upon entering university. In addition to gaining experience with companion animals, wildlife, food animals, and animals in shelters, he is the holder of a black belt in Goju Karate and has been teaching children that martial art. He has also participated in the Forum for Young Canadians in Ottawa, which educates and engages young Canadians from coast to coast in our democratic process. Leslie and Philippe.
Thank you, Dr. Conlon, and the warmest welcome to distinguished guests, alumni, faculty, family, mentors, and the 2016 Cobo Caragals.
On behalf of our class, we would like to kindly thank the College of Veterinarians of Ontario, the Ontario Veterinary Medical Association, the Ontario Veterinary Alumni Association, and the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association for their support, as we would not be able to have you all here today without them.
So this year marks the 150th anniversary for the OVC, and what a momentous year it is for all of those who have graduated from this prestigious college. Many changes have been made to the building since 1862. The Pathobiology Building, the Hills Pet Nutrition Primary Health Care Center, and most recently, the opening of the Animal Cancer Center.
This educational expansion has solidified the OVC's position as a world leader in veterinary healthcare, learning, and research.
We consider it an honor, and our class is truly privileged to be the newest members of the OVC family.
Today is the first day of fall. It also marks our first official day on this new journey together. We all sense huge relief upon our acceptance. All those countless hours of volunteering in shelters and clinics, stables and farms, or even research labs have finally paid off.
We analyzed our admission marks to the point of excessiveness, and thank God we never ever have to relive the nightmare of the MCAT again.
While we are all here today to celebrate, we must not forget the truly important people that helped make this dream a reality. Take a look beside you. Most of us have either family members, friends, or mentors that have helped us every step of the way.
They have endured our hysterical perfectionism and unmatched love for animals. They've been there every step of the way supporting us, and will continue to need them for the many years ahead.
For some, this journey has been a lot longer than expected. For others, this path was delightfully stumbled upon. And for a great majority of us, this path has been planned since childhood, a destiny waiting in the shadows till this day.
So, Caragals, our journey of getting into vet school has ended. Now what? Our real journey begins. Welcome each and every one of you to the veterinary profession. Take a second and think about it. We're all going to be doctors.
Now, this may be a very frightening fact to some of the parents in the audience, but it feels good, doesn't it? Already in these first few weeks, we've been introduced to the lifestyle of the OVC. Long dissection hours in the anatomy lab, and endless time trying to identify cells in histology. No doubt some of us may think, is this a mistake, or how did we get in?
The reality is that each and every one of us has worked extremely hard to make it to this very point, and fear is normal, but nothing worth having comes easily.
Throughout this journey, it is our goal to stay true to ourselves, our qualities, our interests, and our passions. After all, these are the things which helped us get here. This is our time to be proud of who we are and everything that we have accomplished. Opportunities are knocking, the world is ours to discover.
In Dr. Seuss's words, so be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. Kid, you'll move mountains.
And mountains we will move. Each one of us seeks to enhance the bond between humans and animals, whether it be for a domestic pet and their caregiver, for livestock and their owners, or for wild species and the communities that surround them. Domestication has made us responsible for what we have tamed, and I can think of no better career to be part of than being a veterinarian.
We finally made it, Caracol, so be proud of who you are today. Be thankful, be true to yourself, forge enduring friendship, and enjoy the years ahead.
Everyone join us in welcoming the class of 2016, the Cobalt Caracols.
Thank you very, very much. In closing our ceremony, I want to particularly acknowledge the contributions of those who have made it a success, which by all accounts it certainly has been. The first are Elizabeth Lowinger, who's our Manager of Student Affairs, and Tara O'Brien, who is coordinating all of our 150th anniversary events and activities this year. There have been a lot of them, and there have been many and varied, and all have been absolutely wonderful. Elizabeth Lowinger plays a key role in connecting the college to the veterinary profession, in managing our mentoring programs, and in providing much support to our student veterinarians. And Elizabeth is there, though I'm not sure Tara's here, but I wonder if you would join me in thanking them for all of the work that's made today happen. Others who you have met already and contributed much time and effort: Sarah Nazir, class of OVC 2014, and a dedicated team of volunteers who assisted you: Dana Lemoyne, Kristen McFarland, Patricia Seaton, Dana Funnell, Stephen Brown, Aaron Canerva, Jennifer Wan, Joseph Marchionda, Vishal Murthy, Allison Pender, and Evan Bell, and Leah Montgomery, all student veterinarians, and all here to help welcome their colleagues in the new class and you folks. I also want to thank Kevin Hogg from the college's Information Technology Services, who is enabling us to provide a live webcast of this event for folks who haven't been able to be here, and is also recording it to capture it for posterity. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Neil Forbes, our piper. And I wonder if we could thank them jointly. Thank you again to our special guests, and thank you for being here to support your favorite Cobalt Caracal. On behalf of the college, I invite all of you to attend a reception, which is just outside the doors in the concourse of Rosansky Hall. And the class is asked to assemble on the front steps of OVC for a photograph following the reception, and that will be at 12:30 sharp. Will now be piped from the hall by Mr. Forbes in this order: the platform party, then the class, and then the audience members. Thank you again very much.